All right, welcome back to podcast number 11, the 1% podcast with Garrett and Sean. We come to you from the fields over at UTSA, home of the Roadrunners, doing a little podcasting with you guys before our guys go and do a little work with the team. So, how's it going, Garrett?
It's good, baby. Ready to throw some BP today and get to work tonight with the boys. We got practice tonight and just ready to get after it, ready to compete today.
Sean?
We're good. We're enjoying it. Nice weather. Can't complain, especially being out here at the field. So it's good.
Awesome. Well, I want to dive right into it. Big weekend of baseball. We didn't play, but a number of teams were at the Super Regionals. Austin, Houston, all around the state playing in these tournaments. And a lot of feedback from parents that I know, other coaches that we know. And the one common theme that seemed to take place was how even amongst some of these majors, 60, 90 teams, the moment was a little too big for them. You know, they said the kids were a little shell-shocked and intimidated. That's not something that we've had to deal with yet with our team. What do you guys do to help prepare your players for that moment?
I think a lot of it comes down to trust. We were kind of talking about it before. And I think one of the biggest things I think that we do for our guys is give them our full trust in them. Like, hey, brother, your job's not on the line today. It's on the line today, but it's not on the line today. I'm not going to get rid of you. I'm here for your long-term development. And if you are not bought into what we're doing, that's when we start to see that resistance. But we try to get as much buy-in from our guys off of day one. And that allows them to say, like, dude, you're our guy. Like, go be who you are. And I was telling kids yesterday, I don't need you to be somebody else. I don't need you to be, I was telling Brock that. I was telling Brock, I was like, I don't need you to be Silver. I don't need you to be Pena. I was like, I need you to be you. And you just compete and do everything you can. You're not pretty. You're not perfect. And I don't need you to be. But go be you and just compete. And whatever happens that day, we'll get back to the drawing board and work at it as we go. But don't go out there trying to do something that you're not. Like, just play ball. Be who you are. That's what you say.
And to add on to that, like all that is great stuff, right? And whenever we get in games, we'll see it a lot. Like, we face these teams. These coaches, not so much the players, but we start applying a little bit of pressure, especially in that Houston tournament, right? When we started kind of getting it rolling the right way on Sunday, is a lot of these coaches start smashing that panic button as soon as we start applying pressure, right? Not the players, but the coaches, right? So what's going to happen as soon as those coaches start panicking and worryful and fearful of what's going on, like, the players are going to be reactive to that, right? So I've always had the idea that the coach or the players are going to follow the coach's lead.
100%.
You know what I mean? So for us, we talked about this even going back to the fall. It's like, hey, like, we need to do a little bit better job of awareness of, like, hey, especially like these younger guys, because they do take stuff so literal that, like, if we start to show any discrepancies, like
mood changes,
panic button, whatever you want to call it, like, they're going to be reactive to that.
100%.
Right? And that's the last thing that we want them to do, is to fall into a trap that we set.
Kids are going to always follow you. And that's something that I have to we got to be careful about, especially with how young we are. You know, we're a little bit more aggressive, so we got to be careful with some of the things that we do. But it's the same thing that Sean just said. But the players can read you. Kids are very good about reading your mannerisms and reading your attitude, and that's what we have to check ourselves on every day. And the biggest thing that we always say is, like, dude, positive people, positive individuals attract other people. People want to be around positive people. While I will be negative at times and I will be hard on guys, that doesn't change the mood. Because after every conversation, I tell them all the time, no matter if I cuss at you, whether I get on your ass, whether I get very, very aggressive with you, I tell them after every single one, that does not change what I think about you as a player. I just need your best. Give me your best and let's work, because I believe in you. But you're not giving yourself your best. You know what I mean? That's at the end of the day what it is like, we have to stay positive as coaches and even as parents, man. Like, it's funny because even on our teams, the guys whose parents chew ass, they're always in them, they're always pushing them almost to the wrong way, Those are the guys when they get in game, they're a little bit more fearful. They're a little bit more like back.
100%.
But when, again, it goes back to everything we say, when you instill fear based off of the end result in the game, that is when guys are going to play on their tippy toes. That is when guys are going to be walking around on eggshells rather than how we talk about it all the time, 100-0, babe. Like, go. And if you screw it up, you screw it up. And, like, we will be able, there's 12 guys on this team. There's 14 guys on this team. Somebody else will pick up your rope if we're all bought into that. But when we start having multiple guy after multiple guy on eggshells, scared to mess up, scared to make mistakes, that's when we're going to run into issues. At the end of the day, that's what it is.
And to bring it all full circle, again, just like you said a minute ago, it all goes back to trust.
Yeah.
Right? If we instill that trust from the get-go and they believe in what we're doing and they believe in themselves, more importantly, like, that's when the ass-chewings get the positive feedback.
Yeah.
Right, where they're actually receptive to it in the right way rather than shutting down.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing, is like, you can't come in here right away and expect them to be responsive to you chewing little Johnny's ass for messing up if you haven't built that confidence in him to where he trusts you.
I think it's building a relationship. That's what it comes down to, is you got to build a relationship with the player and love them, man. Like, that's how we look at it. Like, dude, those are my little brothers, every single one of them. Because we're at that point still in my life where it's like I'm an authority figure to some degree, but I'm not this, like, not a freaking dictator. You know what I mean? I'm not like, we still have that closer relationship, and I think a lot of that is the age factor, that they're like, dang, this guy's like here for me, and he really is. And that's the biggest thing I want these guys to know, and anybody that ever comes across us is like, dude, like, I am so bought into you, you don't even know. Like, all we do every single day of the week, my nights when I don't sleep, like, I'm thinking about these dudes. Like, dude, they're so close. Some of these guys are so close and they don't even know it. And it's just it's like, dude, I just got to get to their heart. I got to get to their mind. I got to get to them and just get them to trust what we're doing and understand, dude, just go. Just play aggressive, play the game. And some people even ask us, like, what do y'all do different? Like, why are y'all different? What about y'all is different? And it's like, dude, we don't do anything different. I'm sure if you went out and listened to some people, a lot of the verbiage, a lot of the things that we work at, it might be different, but it's a lot of the same stuff. It's baseball. Baseball hasn't changed for hundreds of years. You know what I mean? Intricacies of the game, yes, they have, but the foundational game of baseball has always been the same, and that's how we preach it. It's always been the same. It's simple, and we just got to play the game. But at the end of the day, again, it goes back to, like, how is the environment built? What is the environment like? Because if the environment is correct, and I don't think there's a right or wrong way, because, listen, we're not perfect. We got teams right now, we got players right now that are struggling, whether they're having success as a team or not. We still have individuals that are not doing good, and because it's not a perfect system. There is no such thing as a perfect system. I think it's always going to be evolving and changing, and we've got to be able to adjust based off of that. Like, Dad asked us the other day, but do y'all do the same practice for the 13 and 14s? And it's like, yes, but no. Like, we've got to do what is best for that team.
What that team
Thank
needs.
you.
The team needs what the team needs. Now, sometimes if we're playing good ball, like, everybody's winning, we're just, like, kicking ass, like, oh, we're going to go out there and do the same thing. Like, there's nothing to change. Like, we just need to do the stuff that we know we need. Like, 13 and 14-year-olds can't catch pop flies. Well, guess what we're going to do? We're going to catch pop flies until we do. You know, but right now, like, this is a prime example. I think people need to hear this. Like, the 14s are not competing well. At the end of the day, that's it. There's no other answer to that. They're straight up just not competing as individuals and as players. It's not important to them. The 13s, completely different. Those guys, we've had multiple instances now this year. Your parents and your family, a couple guys from our team that came and coached, some other parents that are not within the team, right? They're just there to, my parents were there, visualize and see the two differences in the game. And the one thing that they said is the 13s look like they want to be there, and they look like they just want to go out there and murder everything that's in front of them. Whereas the 14s is a little bit more hesitant, a little bit more like apathetic to the game. And so right now, like, the biggest thing is that our practices, like, the 14s, it's compete time.
Yeah.
Like, you and your job and what you do is on the line today. If you want to be in the starting 9, earn it. Earn it. And again, it's not, I say this all the time, it's not about physical mistakes. It is zero. Our failure right now is zero to do with the physical and 100% to do with the mental. So if you come to one of our practices, you come to our practice tonight, the 13s, it's going to be a little bit more fun. It's going to be a little bit more regular baseball like what we usually do. The 14s, it's not going to be fun. Like, we're going to compete. We're going to put punishment and reward. There is a winner and there is a loser. And the loser is going to have punishment. And that's just what it comes down to. We've got to instill this fire within every single one of our guys that, like, every rep, every pitch, every game, every inning, every opportunity we get is the most important in my career today.
You know, it's funny because I said when I was asked about it, I said almost the same thing that you said, because you're pretty clear on it, is the mistake is part of the game, right? So learning to make the mistake and not dwell on the mistake, learn from the mistake, embrace the mistake, and move on, right? Because the game doesn't stop because you dropped the bot fly.
Yeah.
But the other thing that you guys have said, and I've it settled me down as a parent, right? Because I want my son to throw 95 tomorrow. But, you know, talking about the development of the team or the development of an individual player, you guys have often said, God, I want to work on X, Y, Z, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
We got to fix A before we get to B, and B before we get to C. So it's the moment, even in development for them, is never too big. It's right along the path that they're supposed to be. And, you know, you said you trained the team, so when we're getting thrown out on base, then we're working on leads and we're working on that sort of stuff. When you're, so I 100% agree. You said it, baseball hasn't changed. I think you two do a good job of not letting your egos or your personal experiences get in the way of developing a player. And I see it at times where you're struggling, like, you want to do something, but you're like, you know what, that's not right for this. I applaud you on that, because I see other teams that don't do it.
Well, it's the overcoaching, right? So it's like, if one of these guys comes in and hit with us, like, you'll hear it. And sometimes I get, to be quite honest, like, I get anxious. But I restrain myself as a coach, because playing baseball, so many parents see playing baseball as a result-oriented game. And while it is, it's not. So, like, you get in there on the machine, like, you put him in there on the machine, you put me in there on the machine, you grab any Joe Schmo that is just playing. They're going to miss. They're not going to barrel every single ball, right? And I see a lot of parents. I see parents, especially that are not within our system, that come and train with us. They'll get in there on the machine, their kid starts missing. You can see the dad or the mom start pacing. Why? Yeah, it's like, dude, like, relax. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, yes, I understand you want your kid to be perfect, but this is an imperfect game with imperfect moments that you could get jam-shotted and hit the game-winning run, like put the game-winning run across the plate, you know? So, like, we have to understand that we can't overcoach guys, because that's when you start making robots. That's when you start making guys second-guess every single step. It's like, dude, you're going to make mistakes, but just go, play.
Well, I think a lot of it, too, though, is there's not enough guys that have had the freedom to fail. In a way, it's like, and this is what we ask guys all the time, right? Like, if you deem a strikeout as failing, okay, well, then the next question is, well, how was the strikeout? Did the guy just throw a nasty breaker with 2K and you just swung over the top of it and you fouled off 2 fastballs? Or did you take 2 fastballs down the middle and then you put yourself in a hole?
Yeah.
Right, so the moment, like, we start to do that and the parents understand, like, hey, there's more to it than just the results. And it takes a while for the players to understand that too, but once they start understanding that, that's when you start to see them grow up mentally and start to have a better understanding of what they're trying to do, each and every aspect of it.
I think we should dive into that a little bit more. And this is a prime example. We talk about this, he just said, we talk about it a lot with the parents. So let's just break this down as 2 at-bats, okay? Sean has an at-bat. He's the leadoff guy in the 2-hole. Sean goes in there, and he's very aggressive, looking to hit the fastball on time and ready to hit, right? And we both strike out. He gets 2 really good hacks off, competes in 2K, got those nasty breakers, swings over the top of it, just like you said. To us, that's a competitive at bat, because you get 2 swings off that are explosive and looking and ready to hit, right? Ready to hit. What does that mean? Being on time, anticipating the pitch that you're looking for, and getting an explosive swing off, right? Not a second-guess swing where it's like, hesitate, and then swing the bat, right? Whereas you have me. I go into the box, I'm not ready to hit. I take fastball on ball 5 or ball 6 on the outer half of the plate for strike 1. The next one's a fringy pitch that's a little bit off the plate, but the umpire calls it a strike for take number 2. So now I'm down 0-2 and haven't even swung the bat, right? Guy throws a ball, then he throws a breaking ball in the dirt that I swing and miss at with a pretty shitty swing, to be honest, right? Well, this was uncompetitive. My at-bat was uncompetitive. His was competitive because he was ready to hit. He was anticipating the fastball. He was getting good hacks on it. He just wasn't barreling it, right? So to us, like, that's how we want to describe it. And we say this all the time. We toe the line every single day. You come to our practices, we toe the line every single day between here's where it's mental and here's where it's physical. And we're chewing guys out and putting pressure on them right at that line. But we can't cross over to the physical because we live here. We live on the mental side, and this is where we get frustrated, right? And we get as close as we can to that line before it becomes physical, because physical is going to happen. Coach Hallmark said it the other day. We're here at UTSA. He said it the other day when we were here. He said, I hope that I don't get on guys and get frustrated at guys for the physical mistakes. And he got emotional about it because it's true. Like, the game is not about being physically perfect. It is an imperfect game. I just said that a second ago. It's about, can I mentally be prepared every single pitch? We told our guys that the other day. Hey, when you are out there, the ball is getting hit to you every single pitch until it's not. Because if you have that preparation, you have that intentionality in the game right here, right now, you're going to be prepared. But it's the guys that go out there. This is any team, any players. The guys that go out there that it's like, not really there. I'm in the field, but I'm not really ready to make plays. I'm not prepared pitch to pitch.
And I think it's just equally as important to add on to that of understanding, right? Like, this is where we struggle with guys, of just getting them to understand this is like, hey, yes, you made a physical mistake, but that physical mistake was because of your inability to focus mentally.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And getting them to understand that, right? Like, it wasn't the fact that you dropped a pop fly, like I can live with that, but the fact that you had a horseshit read and your first 3 steps were terrible, nowhere near where the ball was, and that's why you dropped it, because you weren't ready to play defense, everything you just said, right? So getting them to understand that it ties together, right? Like you said, like, there's a thin line, but it all ties together.
Yeah, I've seen you guys be happier, it seems like you're happier about a 3-2 loss that we took, about the way we played versus when we won one time 12-7. And you guys were more proud of the way they played in the loss. And you talk a little bit about why that is, and I know we don't want to lose, celebrate the win, but in between first pitch and last pitch, what was the difference?
It's not about winning and losing. It has zero to do with winning and losing, because again, we will lose baseball games and we will win baseball games, and sometimes it's not pretty. Like, sometimes we're dealing with youth athletes. Like, it's not going to be perfect ever. It's always going to be trying to craft that mentality and that aggressiveness, right? The prime example was this past week in Kerrville, right? Our 14s, they did okay. They didn't do okay. They didn't do good. We go. This is the truth. We go out there to the last game, and we go up 10-0 in 3 innings. We're up 10-0 in the 3rd inning. Pitcher on the mound's throwing a no-hitter. No-hitter in 3, right? We're up 10-0. We finish our half inning hitting, and we go out to the top of the 4th. Every guy walks onto the field. Walks. Like, I'm not talking like, lollygag. I'm talking walked onto the field. I'm watching, and our outfielders are like 10 feet away from each other, like lobbing balls. When are you ever going to throw a ball like that in the outfield in game? Never. Never. You're not going to throw a guy at the plate doing that. So why are you not getting your arm ready, right? Our infielders are in there taking ground balls slower than I've ever seen any 14-year-old take a ground ball in between innings ever in my life, right? Our pitcher and catcher are like shooting balls all over the place. Balls are getting thrown at the catcher. Balls are getting by him. Pitcher's hitting the backstop in the air on a fastball, like just all over the place, like just sloppy, right? Sloppy is the exact phrase that it was. But what do we do that next inning? We give up the no-hitter. We walk 5 guys. We make 2 errors. And we give up 4 runs. The game ended, right? And I was more frustrated after that game than I was the entire weekend. Because at the end of the day, it's controllable. All of that was controllable. And I told them, I said, that is why we lose. That is why we lose. That's why we can't put together consistency of day after day after day, because you back off the gas. We could sit here and describe it 1,000 different ways, but that was the prime example, right? It was that right there. So the win and the loss doesn't matter. It's how you approach the game and how you play it. Because we could go out there, I'd say it all the time, I would love to go lose a baseball game playing competitive baseball. Like competitive, like we're grinding, everybody's locked in, and we just don't get it done. We haven't done that yet, though, right? Maybe the 13s have, but we don't do that a lot. If we lose, most of the time it's because we shoot ourselves in the foot. That's what it comes down to.
Hey, I talked to kind of going back to what you were saying, so I talked to the 13s about this after one of the games in Kerrville. I don't remember what the score was. It was 13-0. We were kicking the shit out of whatever team we were playing. But for the most part, throughout the course of the year, the 13s have done a really good job of coming out ready to go from the first pitch, right? Throwing the first punch and just hitting the gas running. However, there have been a few instances, and I've told them this multiple times, of we'll put out 10, 15 runs, and then we step on the gas. I mean, we step off the gas, right? Just pay attention to their at-bats, right? We do a really good job in the early innings of looking to hit the fastball early in the count, and then once we started getting some runs in, like some guys started getting a little bit more passive, taking the first pitch fastball right down the middle for strike one, and then that's when you see the at-bats kind of unfold and the strikeouts start to happen, right? So the biggest thing I've tried to do is just dissect that with them, right? Explain to them exactly what's going on and why that happens. Because then from there, like, and again, they're 13, right? So it's very hard at this age to get them to do that consistently, but the moment they can start to do that and repeat that consistency of it, like, it's going to be really good.
Yeah. Yep.
And so, I've got another question for you guys. And you know, you look at some of these. I won't even name the teams, but you look at some of the quote unquote upper echelon teams, organizations that have been around since you guys were playing, maybe even longer. You know, consistently competed at a high level, 4 or 5 teams per age group, whatever. As you're putting together your team, you know, next fall, next spring, you know, is there value in you guys having 5, 6 shortstops, right? And kids that have maybe never had to compete for a position, or do you take, you know, 1 or 2 of those kids and try to fill in around them? I guess the question is here, in terms of the intangibles, what's important? In terms of the team fit, what's important? And then in terms of being an overall athlete or stud, you know, how important? You know, what's the mix for you guys?
I think first and foremost, it's got to be the right type of character.
Character's got to be right.
Going back to, we talk about it all the time. We've said it. Fucking seems like every podcast this comes up about, like, making sure the environment's right. Well, that starts with the personnel. I just want to make that clear, right? The environment starts with the guys that we bring in and how they affect everyone else around them.
Why do you think college baseball, they cut so many guys? Like, why do you think so many guys are always in the transfer portal? It's not because they're not good baseball players. It's because they don't fit the mold of what that coach is looking for. Probably character-wise. 95% of the time, it's usually character.
And we tell guys all the time, like, hey, like, if you're not elevating those around you and making this team better as a whole, like, you're not the right fit. And over the course of our training and the way we do our stuff, like, those guys get exposed.
Yeah.
They get exposed real fast if they're not the right fit.
Yeah.
And usually, like, they'll be the ones that walk away from it because it's not the right fit, which there's no hard feelings in that. But to us, that's the main thing, because, again, like we said before, like, we can teach a guy to play baseball.
Yeah.
I can teach you how to vault at second and throw guys out from the outfield, right? But it's very, very hard for me and him to teach you to compete on Game 4 on Sunday when we're playing for a championship.
Yeah. To go a little bit deeper, yesterday I was with Jackson Jett after he trained. He goes, I can be a center fielder. I said, dude, the beautiful thing about you, Jackson, is you can play anywhere. And I used to say, except for pitch, but damn, the kid's pitching now too. And his ability or willingness to compete at whatever position you put him at is something I wish every kid had.
Yep.
And so I wonder if you do get like the 5 shortstops or the 5, then are they upset when you put them in right?
Well, I think that's a big thing. Like for me, we said this with ourselves, amongst ourselves, is we've got to set a better standard, not only to the players but to the parents. Like this team is not for you just to come out here and play. Like I'm not here to just give you playing time, right? Like this is truly, we're trying to make this truly select. We're like, this is not just we paid, we're here, it's hoorah, we're gonna have a good old time. Like, no, dude, if you want to play higher level baseball, you gotta earn it. You have to earn it. You're not gonna just be allowed to walk out here and say I played shortstop. Cool, bro, earn it. Because my guy probably is more competitive than you right now there. It doesn't mean he's more perfect. Don't get that wrong. But my guy's gonna he's gonna lay it on the line every single day, right? And he's gonna go for it. And that's the thing. That's the biggest thing is when we start talking about what we're doing moving forward. It's parents, players, listen. You got to earn the right to play. And if you trust the process and you're here to compete, you're at some point gonna turn into a better baseball player because of it, right? But it's I don't want guys within our system that are just there to be there. I think that's the biggest thing. You're not just there to be there and to play. You're here to get better. And if you're not producing, again, understand it's not physical, but if you're not there and doing everything you can to be the best baseball player you can be every single day, I'm not going to just give you this freedom of I play shortstop, here you go play, Johnny. No, dude, earn it.
You don't want the country club select team?
Oh, yeah, country club baseball, baby.
And to kind of add the back end of that question in terms of value and positioning, we were actually talking about this on the phone last weekend. We were heading to Kerrville. I get tired, and it grinds my gears when parents say, well, my son at 11 years old only plays shortstop.
He should play everything.
Or he only plays second base. Well, no, you know how many opportunities and doors are closing for that kid when he turns 16 and 17? For us, we want guys that play multiple positions, right? You go hear any college coach talk about it in terms of recruiting. They want guys that the first game they go out and see him, the guy's playing shortstop. Next game he's catching. Next game he's in left field. Next game he's pitching, right? Because now you're adding true value to the team.
Versatility.
It's very, very hard because, again, right, now you're shutting so many doors for yourself because if you only play shortstop, you're struggling defensively, you're not hitting the best. It's very easily for them and any coach to pull you out of the lineup. Yeah. Rather, if you play 3 or 4 different positions, they can mix you around and find at that moment what's going to be best for the team to be successful.
I think in high school baseball, you're going to have 3 hitters maybe. So if you can hit a little bit and you can play okay defense, you'll probably start. But in college baseball, everybody can hit. I remember the first time I went out, UIW, when I played there my freshman year, we were trash. But we went out there and we were playing in the fall. And I get out there in my first outing, I'm like, dude, why are these guys barreling this? I was used to in high school, I throw the curveball literally right down the middle, and it's a swing over the top and miss. No, that ball's in the gap. No, everybody can hit, right? So it comes down to, Coach Hallmark used to say all the time, it's dude, it comes down to who's my best defender, because someone else is going to be able to hit at that time. Now they'll probably craft lineups based off of who's hitting at that time, but if you're the best defender on the field every single day, they ain't coming out of the lineup. Because at this level, most of the time it comes down to defense. It really does. If you play gorilla ball and you can hit a little bit, it's going to help you. But defensively is where you got to win every single day.
Oh yeah, there's been multiple instances when we get to Sunday and we only play 9. There's been instances where we put a certain kid in the lineup because he's better defensively.
Yep.
He may be hitting worse than someone else, and that's what parents and kids don't understand. But if I can't trust you and you're a liability to me on defense, it's very, very hard for me to run you out there.
Because we're not throwing 95 with breaking balls in the box. Even our best pitcher will go out there and give up hits. You know what I mean? So we've got to be able to defend the 90. We've got to be able to defend the stolen base. We've got to be able to defend balls in the air. We got to catch them. Right? It's just outs got to be outs, and we got to play to that. And so that's where it's at for us. It's just hey, we've got to be able to craft something to where it's you earn it, but we also give recognition. Trust me, we will recognize those that are getting better. That's something that we try to pride ourselves on, is when a kid's growing, it's brother, you're doing it You may not get the results today. You may not get all the opportunities you want today, but you're growing, and I see you keep going because you're on the right course, right? And that's just what we try to do.
And I think at the end of the day, to add on to that, everything that we kind of touched on for this topic, being open and communicating with the player and with the parents as to why or why not they're in the lineup is huge.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I think it's cool that you guys do it with the player.
Yeah. It needs to be.
I mean, that's
Because now you'll start to see them.
That's why we don't have any age groups under 13. Like, whether your kid's 13 years old, like, your job. Like, this is yours. Like, if your parents, oh God, this one fires me up. I got to go through a BP soon, so I'm not going to dive into it too deep. But like, if you're 13 years old and your parents have more desire to play baseball than you do, quit. That's it. Like, go play chess. Like, go play golf. Like, do something else, because like at this point, if your parents are wanting this more than you, it's game over. It's done. And now I shouldn't say it all the time. I shouldn't say it 100% that way, because like my desire for the game to be truly successful at this wasn't there, but I did see something in myself, and my dad never wanted it more than me. But I think that there's a lot of parents nowadays that they want it more than their kids, and those are the ones where it's like mom and dad are coming to ask rather than the kid, because the kid really doesn't care. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
The kid's got to build that fire and that passion, and that's all we try to do, man. Like when I walk out to a Tuesday, fucking mid-April, to Bowerfield to go practice, that is the most important day of my life. That's how it is. Dude, like, I love that, and there is a fire and there is a passion, and just like I'm ready to run through the door, because that day could be the most important day in that kid's career. And I don't think every kid reciprocates that, and that's what we get frustrated at. But like the dudes that can feel that with us, because you can feel it. You can. There's dudes on these teams that they see it in us, and they see that, and we see it in them. Those are the guys that's like we run through the doors with them every single day that we get the opportunity. There's others that don't. But
it's too, like when you show up like that, that's when the players are more likely to show up ready to go.
Yeah.
If they see coach moping around, like not really wanting to be there, then they're like, well, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Well, appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it's been a good one. Lot to know on there. We'll see you guys in another week or so. And thank you.
Appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Thanks, guys.